Well, all that comedy investigation into the rise of the Comedy Czar's hell world was exhausting. I had to get the hell out of there. So I've been out at my cabin just trying to think about something else for a change. Problem is, there's no free will, and I don't really get to choose what to think about. Been thinking about a lot of different things, but seems like for every question I try to answer, I end up with 10 more. It's getting ridiculous. But mostly, the question that still haunts me every day is, how did comedy get so... Was it ever good? Why the hell do I even know who this guy is? And why for a moment, before my brain kicks in, does it seem normal that he's hanging out inside that sacred space at the center of the comedy universe? The comedy mothership green room.
How hard we laugh in that green room, and
It's the most fun.
the best thing about the green room is how restrictive it is.
Oh yeah, I love
That you just can't go in there. You got to earn that spot in the treehouse. So anytime you open the door, you see, some of the best comics alive. That's our fucking little space, man, and it is the greatest thing on earth.
It's just impossible to make sense of anything going on here. And I can't help but feel like I must be living on another planet. I needed guidance. You know that our cerebral comedy guru, David Lucas, once told us that after his shows, we'd be thinking a lot.
My jokes are very cerebral. So if you come to my show, I might say a lot of crazy shit, but on your drive home, you're going to be thinking a lot.
A lot. Okay, fuck it. We might watch this. Hold on one sec.
And his wisdom is kind of what sparked this whole investigation into the comedy world, but I knew I needed to start thinking even more. So I wanted to go out and see David's act, and hopefully start to try and put all these disordered puzzle pieces together, to understand what's really going on at the heart of it all. Now, there's a lot of great stages out there, but for me, my favorite venue in the entire world, hands down, is the legendary Massey Hall in Toronto. Its stage has been graced by the presence of the most iconic, influential, and beloved artists of multiple generations. Gordon Lightfoot, Oscar Peterson, Charlie Parker.
Does Destiny follow the Kill Tony memes, or why is he linking this video? Because this guy's a legend. This guy's our #1 Joe Rogan hater. But I haven't seen any Kill Tony memes lately. I mean, like, I know of them, and I've seen some things about them, but...
Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Patsy Cline, Bob Dylan, Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Rush. Now, I don't know who any of these people are, but my dad says they're very important. I even saw my first ever stand-up comedy show there, Jerry Seinfeld, when I was just a wee lad. It's the oldest and most iconic venue in Canada, and performing there has long been considered a landmark event in one's career. And finally, in 2025, the strength of her stage's mythical hardwood planks would truly be put to the test, as the killers of Kill Tony, including massive comedy success David Lucas,
I'm put my hand in my ass and make you smell it.
would be taking the stage for what promised to be a wonderful comedy event. So I watched the show. When it was over, you know what? He was right. I was thinking a lot. I was thinking about how bizarre it was that these low-level, or
For context, Rogan moved to Austin and opened a comedy club called the Comedy Mothership. There's a show called Kill Tony that happens there. David is one of the regulars. People make fun of Joe and Kill Tony because all the comedians act like gods with massive egos, but people don't think they are that funny. Okay.
Gord. couldn't compare to the pleasure I...
Sorry, if you don't understand, Joe Rogan is a comedy legend, okay? Who is among comedy legends, all right? You guys wouldn't understand how much Joe Rogan worked to get to that spot.
experienced releasing but it's so boring that it feels like it's about 5 or 6 hours. So that improves the value at least. As you walk into the room, you're
Damn. Wait, $800? I feel like that's more than me and Melina paid per ticket for like Madison Square Garden shows to see Louis C.K. Am I making this up? How much do these tickets normally cost? Jesus. Or was he joking? Mothership Austin Comedy Club tickets. That was for his plane ticket? Oh. Oh, maybe it's like the total cost of travel and everything? Maybe? He mentioned it was for... Oh, okay. My bad. Never mind.
reminded of 2 of the most horrific acts of brutality ever committed. Which is good because when you're thinking about what happens when an atomic bomb blows up over your head, it makes the terrible show you're witnessing seem like an okay alternative. No idea who the comics were. Who cares? They were shit. And of course they were, we already knew that. What we want to find out is why or how. But the vibe was very bad in there, very negative, and so I got the hell out of there and began walking down 6th Street, where a horde of scary, methed-out ghouls began to oogle me, which, compared to the vibe in the comedy spaceship, was honestly much more welcoming. And that's when I saw it. In the alleyway behind the mothership, a flock of comedy pilgrims had gathered, lining up. They told me they had traveled from all over the country for their chance to win 1 minute of stage time there. Their opportunity to climb the ladder to a higher tier class of human. A real comedian. I couldn't believe how many of them there were. They were all over the place, living in their cars, in tents. So many comedy pilgrims, everywhere, just taking over the entire area. And I started thinking about how the hell all these people ended up here. I started thinking about human migration. Like, how did you end up where you are? No matter who or where you are, at some point, some guy in your lineage looked around and said to himself, "F this, I gotta get out of here." Packed up and went to a new place. And with that spirit in mind, I packed my bags and headed home. When I got back to my cabin, I placed a photo of my guru above my typewriter with a sign that said, "Keep thinking." And that's what I did for several weeks, obsessively, compulsively. And it led me to discover what's actually going on behind all this unsettling comedy stuff.
Unsettling. Wait, for this Dave Smith thing, is this a 2-hour show by him? Or does this include like a bunch of comedians and he's like the headliner or whatever? He will have openers for sure. Okay. Probably like, it should be like an hour, I guess, right? I wonder how much these tickets sold for.
And that we were right to find it so unsettling and evil and vile, and that what we're witnessing with this Austin comedy thing is actually part of a massive operation designed to destroy the entire world. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but as you'll see, that's actually part of their design. I thank my comedy guru David for helping me get my thinking back on track. Tasmay Shri Guru Ve Namaha.
Wayback Machine maybe has the price. Then go look for it.
To answer the question of how comedy got so shit, we need to go back about 375 million years. To the first of those migrations we mentioned earlier.
It does not.
Migration is baked
Someone
into our
said.
DNA, guys. I don't know if you knew that in advance, but I am seeing on my YouTube analytics here that I gotta get out.
Okay, how much of this is analysis of Joe Rogan and the surrounding people versus the artsy pontificate?
Here becomes something to grab onto to save yourself. Stranded and surrounded by a sea of danger, that is when the techno-wizards begin their most perverted sorcery.
The future is gonna be
Oh,
amazing.
okay,
Throw
we're
you
almost
a life
there.
preserver in the form of a new world, a new virtual world. In this virtual world, you're still going to be angry all the time, but at least you'll be certain, and that feels good. And because it feels so good, you just want to stay in there forever. Until eventually you've been in there so long that your new virtual world feels more real than your old classic reality. And
Crazy how Elon just kind of like faded away. You notice how he's like, I guess he's like just back into Twitter now and that's it.
once it's become more convincing, scale, movements triggered by
That's my boat, by the way.
everyone saying, I gotta get the hell out of here, happen all the time. Throughout history, wealthy, influential people have leveraged these waves in order to serve their interests, using their power to direct migrants in or out of places beneficial to fulfilling their goals. Someone we've seen exploiting the I gotta get the hell out of here phenomenon is this Elon guy. He was bullied a ton as a kid because he was a strange, scrawny little weak guy who could also be a bit of a dickhead. And so his teachers, his parents, nobody wanted to help him.
Did you have a happy childhood?
No, it's horrible.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. We'll go back to this. Wait, is this has to be a bot. This has to be a bot message, right? Hold on.
Last year, I asked you to pray for me, and it's very obvious that you did, because I came through a very difficult period. Unfortunately, I've had a setback. I'm back in the hospital.
So apparently the former chief judge of Providence Municipal Court, this is the guy you saw on TikTok and stuff all the time. Apparently he died of cancer. Somebody just linked this in chat. This is genuinely heartbreaking. After thinking it over, I've decided to keep my OnlyFans free as a further tribute. Too many pure souls are passing on. What the fuck? Is that? It's got to be like a bot. It has to be a bot, right?
Why was it terrible? You were bullied at school and had a
I was
difficult...
almost beaten to death, if you'd call that bullied.
He was shy and awkward at school, didn't have many friends.
On one occasion, Elon was pushed down a flight of stairs and beaten violently, leaving him in hospital for weeks.
And if that wasn't bad enough, and this is something you'll see with almost all of these anti-reality guys, Elon had a very bad dad who left him with a dad-shaped hole in his soul.
Very violent. It was not a happy childhood. My father has serious issues.
When Elon received that severe beating as a kid, his father berated him and blamed him for it, made him stand for hours, called him an idiot, and told him he was worthless. Proper bad dad.
Hold on. I think you gotta... Wait.
Made him stand for hours, called him an idiot.
I think you have to. I think you have to give me this one. I think you have to give me this one. For once. Wait.
Aside from its title character, the most important...
Winston. Older. But kind of, right? From John Wick? Absolutely. The lighting is different, but...
Idiot and told him he was worthless. Proper bad dad stuff. All these experiences made Elon internalize the belief that this world is a scary, dangerous place. Wouldn't it be nice to just get the hell out of here? Well, later in life he acquired an immense amount of wealth and immediately began to use it to try and reconstruct reality, to cope. He put heaps of that money into trying to build this Mars colony thing, which is never going to happen, but that doesn't matter. The real point of his Martian cope is creating a virtual reality to migrate to, one where this colony thing would actually be feasible, and he could actually escape the Earth and live on another planet. And that gives him hope that he could actually get the hell out of here. All this crap here, this is all just for Elon to fantasize about getting the hell out of here. Nobody is going to f***ing Mars, man. The world is still scary to this guy. He still feels like he's getting bullied when everyone online is telling him he's a loser. That's why he bought Twitter. Everyone on there was being mean, so he just bought the thing so he could control it. Pretended the millions of guys calling him a loser were just bots and trolls, so he could just kick them out and reshape the site into his own ideal version of reality.
Okay, that doesn't fit with a lot of the rest of this video because that's just cold, hard facts. That's literally exactly what actually happened. Guaranteed 1,000,000%. That's actually just it. People... This is the thing I say, like, people are... People's whose politics are literally defined by whoever bullied them last. It is literally the entire story of Elon Musk buying Twitter. It's fucking so stupid.
And then pretend that this simulated version of reality is reality. He wants to be a guy who's great at video games, but he's a total noob. He's the kid that would turn the Nintendo controller like a steering wheel while playing Mario Kart, while his mouth hangs open. Where I come from, we call that Thomasing, but Elon just wants to win.
What does that even mean?
And he can't play sports because, I mean, look at him. He never had the makings of a varsity athlete. So again, he uses his wealth to just pay guys who are actually good at video games to play the games for him. And then he pretends it's him playing the games. And then he got caught.
There are 4 things there.
And all the actual gamers all started watching him play and laughing at him.
4 things. He clearly has no idea, bro.
And started playing the games himself on stream, but just got harassed the entire time and then pretended his connection dropped so he could get the hell out of there.
Connection lost.
Elon wants him being a hero to be part of his hyper-reality as well. For a while he was seen as a savior figure, but that illusion evaporated. He tried to reclaim his hero status by inserting himself into the rescue of those 12 Thai kids trapped in a flooded cave. He stuck his nose into the rescue operation, despite nobody asking him to, and offered them an old metal tube from the SpaceX garbage dump that they were throwing out anyway, and telling the actual rescue divers who were down there trying to do their jobs to toss the kids in this tube and pull them out. When the rescue leader told him this is insane and makes zero sense that the tube wouldn't even fit through the intricate cave system, Elon rage quit and called the guy a PDF file.
Thanks, Elon.
He's tried to add being like a funny comedy guy to his hyper-reality, wormed his way into the stand-up comedy world, got on stage with Dave Chappelle and just got booed by an arena full of comedy fans.
Oof.
Rejected again.
You know that hurt.
Even got into the government somehow, started trying to cut all this funding from everything, hoping they'd give it to him instead to build more spaceships so he can get the hell out of here sooner. But the president also started bullying Elon and ended up taking away his lunch money. And now, Elon's even more messed up, even more desperate to escape.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess. This is why they call it Thomasing?
Jesus.
Okay.
Finding it harder and harder to cling to that Mars colony coat.
With Elon, where I said, if Trump doesn't win, I want to just leave the country. And then Elon said, there's nowhere to go. Elon, you don't believe in going to Mars anymore. Elon, stop believing in Mars.
So he's allegedly retreating into a haze of ketamine-fueled escapism, just trying to get the hell out of here.
I feel like there's some, I feel like there's actually, I don't know if he'll make the joke. I feel like there's some like dark drama or whatever you could write where the goal is to get to Mars. This is like a Metal Gear Solid 2 plot twist. Like the goal is to get to Mars, but the goal was to never actually go to the planet Mars. The goal was to use SpaceX to launch enough satellites to get enough money to fund the Neuralink project so that he could just like mind fuck your brain into having some, like the actual like brain in a vat thought experiment to where you could pretend you were on Mars, and that's the ultimate escape plan or something, you know?
The only way to make
pre-watched? Fuck, does he say it? That's my idea. Fuck you. I give him the script if he does say that.
sense of all this strange behavior is that it is an effort to construct his own hyper-reality into which he can migrate and escape the scary world that rejects him. I actually saw a video of his ex-wife talking about how he does this, and I mean, she would know.
We create a parallel world to escape the world that rejects us, or the world that we find too painful to live in. But some people are so good at doing this and master such an amazing skill set that they take their world and they infuse it into our world.
She knows.
And they change the world.
Exactly.
And these are the people we call visionaries, people who move between worlds,
Exactly, yes.
between states of consciousness.
Elon learned firsthand the idea of constructing parallel worlds and hyper-realities during childhood. He grew up in South Africa, a country designed by white guys from Europe who had to get the hell out of there, move to Africa, but then decided they didn't want to have black guys as neighbors. So they created this hyper-reality in which God commanded the white guys to preserve their race or whatever, and they had no choice but to segregate all the black guys in another part of town. Because if God wants it, then, I mean, what can you do? You gotta do it. And by getting all the white guys to migrate their psyches into this hyper-reality, it allowed them to do all the heinous shit they had to do to achieve their goals of creating this new society. If you have enough power and influence, reality can be whatever you want it to be, and very few things are going to challenge you.
We have a sort of grasp over the world.
Elon wants to do a full migration into his hyper-reality, but he can't pull it off. It's not believable enough yet. His main problem is that not enough other guys are joining him in his hyper-reality anymore. The more guys you can get to buy into your simulation, the stronger the pillars necessary to uphold the new reality become. Which brings us back to this. This, right here, is irrefutable proof that the comedy spaceship and the entire Austin comedy toilet is a hyper-real simulacrum of an actual comedy scene. The whole scene is ruled by its God King, the Comedy Czar, Joe Rogan. We already discussed how Joe became the Comedy Czar in our last video, so go watch that if you don't understand what we're talking about here. The Comedy Czar rules over his dominion with complete domination, and as you'll see, the entire scene is designed to strengthen and maintain Joe's personal, hyper-real simulacrum. Joe has been sliding into hyper-reality for several years, and is now completely immersed in the simulation. A reality in which he is a very smart, special boy.
My personality that is just immune to bullshit.
He has a unique ability to see what's really going on in the world. And he's helping society by scouting for the otherwise unseen danger up ahead.
I'm like a scout, right? Like if you sent me down the trail, and I'm like, hey, there's a cliff. We're running towards a cliff. Stop, everybody stop. There's a cliff! There's a cliff!
He believes the universe chose him as a sort of prophet, destined to help guide humanity through this age of chaos. But just like Jesus Christ, the people misunderstood and rejected him.
Like the universe has put me in this place where I can at least have access to more opinions than most people. And they're like, you're an anti-vaxxer! You don't believe in science! Hashtag Joe Rogan! I'm taking in opinions from all directions. 360 degrees.
Nice, all right, let's see what Joe scouted up ahead on the trail for us today.
I love Canada.
Shut
up. I love the people. I just think they're going down a dark road with this government.
Uh-oh.
They allow polygamy now in Ontario. Yeah, they just passed a law they allow polygamy because they have so many.
Wait, is that true? Can you get... Hold on. Ontario polygamy law. Polygamy is illegal in Canada, including in Ontario. Under Section 293 of the criminal... Oh.
Any Muslims there?
His hype...
Wait, what?
In Ontario. Yeah, they just passed a law they allow polygamy because they have so many Muslims there.
Do Muslims... I think in some countries they do, but those are like the weird ones. But
his hyper-reality no longer has any real connection to classic reality. So when did Joe begin this psychic migration? Well, a few years ago he decided LA was the reason his life sucked. So he got the hell out of there, moved down to Austin, Texas.
You saw it during the George Floyd times in LA.
Oh, yeah.
When they were burning those cop cars on the highway, and I remember seeing that going, I gotta get the f out of here.
Oh shit, he actually said it. When he realized he was still miserable in Austin, he had to get the hell out of there again. But he had nowhere else to go, so he began a full-on migration into his simulacrum. Because he's so rich and holds autocratic control over his entire simulacrum, he can be the dictator of what is and isn't real. Like the fact that he's a real comedian, one of the greats. And that the world as we know it is finished. It's the end of the age. Doomsday is upon us.
We are in college.
Hold on, hold on. Is it... Did he actually have his...
As we know it is finished. It's the end of
Did he actually have his picture up between George Carlin and Robin Williams? There's no shot. That can't be real. Somebody show me a picture. There's no way that's the case.
Age. Doomsday is upon us.
We are in Kali Yuga.
We are in Kali Yuga.
And Hindus were very smart.
Can I create like a fucking, like a StarCraft 2 museum and just like hang my picture up next to like Flash and Savior or whatever? Am I allowed to do that? What?
Their idea
Based?
It was the Hindus, right?
Yes, the Hindus, yes.
They came up with this idea that there are certain ages, almost unavoidable, of civilization.
Correct.
That they go through these cycles.
What is the period we're in now? Because it seems like it's coming to an end.
This is Kali Yuga, man. This is some weird shit that was predicted by the Bhagavad Gita. This.
It's been so long. It's hard to believe he took 6 years to...
What an absolute god. This is a real ass... Yeah, it's... Okay. I mean, it's his property. True. Why did I open this? Lego Batman. Were any of the Lego video games any good?
This is Battle of the Gods, Ragnarok. Tell me.
This is what happens in cultures. Like, it's almost inevitable.
He even has his own theory about what's driving us toward the end of the age.
Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times create soft men. Soft men create hard times.
Oh.
We are now around soft men.
And the hard times.
Hard times.
Oh my God.
His reality, he's a hard man.
True.
A world run by soft men who have allowed the destruction to happen. He's been yelling about that cliff we're all supposedly headed towards, but he feels like nobody's listening. So now he feels like the destruction must happen in order to restore the world back to its proper state.
I don't think we're going to wake up. I think it's going to take something like a natural disaster or some real event, some 9/11 type event. It's just, I don't know where it ends other than a wake up. And a wake up is like a meteor hits us.
As you can observe with your own eyes, this soft, doughy collection of spheres stacked on top of each other thinks he's actually a hard man. But obviously, he's the soft man, making everything worse. He's one of the softest men of all time. Never worked a day in his life. Whines and complains for hours on his podcast over the dumbest shit year after year.
How dare we say Merry Christmas? How dare
Cries hysterically for no reason and thinks sitting in a sauna is some kind of achievement in overcoming adversity.
For the record. Is that fake?
He gets duped constantly by the most obviously fake stories, photoshops, and AI images.
Fact check, volcanoes do not produce more CO2 emissions than human activity.
Reuters is on your ass.
Idiot.
Yeah.
And somehow he considers himself...
Do you remember the, wait, what, was he almost crying over this or am I making this up? Hold on.
I saw a video today of a boxing match between a father and a son. It made me so sad. It made me so sad. Because there's this young kid. He looks like he's probably like 17 or 18. And the father's 42. And the father beats the shit out of him. I mean, like, dings him in the head and keeps punching him. I'm like, that's your son. That's your son. And we're watching you beat your son up. Because I get your son probably got cocky with you, but... And he celebrates after he knocks his son out. It made me so sad. Because first of all, I'm like, that kid has brain damage now. 100%. Maybe it's just a little. Maybe he'll be fine. Maybe he'll get over it. But maybe you fucked him up. That can happen too. He might be depressed from now on after that. It might fuck up his pituitary gland. It happens to people. And you just did that to your son. You're supposed to like touch him up. You're supposed to not even hurt him. Like slam him in the body a little bit. Like, you think he can fight? Okay, good dude. Okay, let's have a little boxing match. You don't tee off on your son's face on television. It's crazy.
How old was the kid?
Kid looks young. To me, he looks like, you know, he could be 20. He could be 19. He looks young. He's real skinny. And the father's kind of jacked. Not too jacked, but, you know, he's fit. And he could fucking punch. He knows how to box. And the son doesn't look like he has any idea what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what the thing was. Like, someone sent it to me. And they were, like, cheering that this old guy knocked his son out. I was like, you guys are crazy. That you failed. You failed as a man. Yeah, this is it.
That's not exactly what was happening.
It's not? What is it?
They're not father-son.
Oh, why does it lie? It says father knocks out son at celebrity boxing match.
Gotta get somebody to click on this.
Oh.
This was like a YouTuber thing. This guy's a YouTuber and he's a YouTuber.
I'm such a sucker.
But like, this gets played up as a meme. Okay. This gets played up as a meme, but like, this is basically his subject matter expertise, and he got played so hard here by a clip title, right? Like, you're relying on this guy to tell you if ivermectin can cure COVID, and the guy who is like still like a guest commentator in UFC fights doesn't know who was fighting in the ring and is getting ultra emotional because of a YouTube clip title? Like, what? Yeah, was the bullshit detector at the repair shop that day? What the fuck?
One of the greatest comedians of all time.
True, though. I will admit that's true. It does say something about society that he could have even believed it was real. True.
It's embarrassing. It's clear and undeniable that he's living in some sort of inverted alternate reality inside his own mind. Just like we said. And if that's upsetting to hear, it's because you are also living in the same kind of hyper-real simulacrum, and that remark just threatened to knock down one of those pillars holding up your alternate reality. You're feeling this right now because once those beliefs become ingrained, the self-preservation instinct activates. And any time those pillar beliefs are challenged, it's experienced as an existential threat because it could collapse the entire simulacrum and drag you back to that classic reality you had to get the hell out of in the first place. Consciousness is really just a big hallucination anyway. It's completely malleable. Change what's in that brain, and you change reality. For example, sometimes our brains get built a little wonky, and you get OCD, schizophrenia, all this stuff that makes your brain unable to stay in one version of reality. Very stressful. Likewise, it's very stressful when the pillar beliefs upholding your hyper-real simulacrum are challenged, as they threaten the stability of and your attachment to reality. It creates existential anxiety, and that anxiety must be relieved without destabilizing the simulacrum, and that often results in horrific consequences. Becoming the Comedy Czar gave Joe an immense amount of wealth, which allowed him to construct a sort of compound in which he could protect his precious simulacrum. A bunker, which would protect him from sliding back into the ever-so-painful classic reality ever again. And using his millions of dollars and massive influence,
Spotify.
Jobel's attracted a flock of devoted followers who uphold and strengthen his new reality for a chance to get a piece of the pie. It takes a whole community to properly uphold a hyper-real simulacrum, and Joe succeeded where Elon failed. Joe has been able to fully complete his migration by amassing a huge support network. He achieved this through several tactics. 1. By offering himself and his show as a friendship simulator during the loneliest era in human history, for his audience, but also for himself.
Oh, he's going. Day drinking rules.
2. In an era of political confusion and turmoil, he became a compass for guys with double-digit IQs who are too lazy to learn anything by themselves and don't even know how to, because they barely know how to read a real book or even a Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
Only you could figure out what the coaster's for.
3. By becoming a father figure to guys who needed their dad-shaped holes plugged. Those holes longed to be plugged, and Joe became a convenient surrogate. His love and wisdom available 24/7 on Spotify, YouTube, or your podcast app of choice. And 4.
Buffalo Trace. We thought we'd do a sample tasting for you.
By providing an economic incentive model, with his podcast becoming the home shopping network.
Tastes good.
As well as a PR washing machine.
This is funny. I went into Lauren Michaels' office, and he was talking, and I was convinced I was getting fired. Like, I knew I was getting fired. And I was like, if I get...
Wait.
And he was...
Is that real? Body parts found in freezer? Oh my god, I need the soundbite. We looked it up on stream too. I don't even remember. What was this guy? A fucking...
The only real question I...
No, I just want the Doge sound. I guess it's just the Dexter theme or something, isn't it? Whatever.
Was talking, and I was convinced I was getting fired. Like, I knew I was getting fired. And I was like, if I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine.
And through comedy, by creating his own comedy cult with its own built-in multi-level comedy scheme. If you indulge Joe in his new hyper-reality, you'll be rewarded with opportunity. And because that feels so good, you'll soon find yourself migrating across the psychic ocean of your mind, joining Joe inside his simulacrum. That's why it's called the Comedy Mothership. It's a transport vessel that will migrate its believers into their new reality. Which reminds me of another cult, one of my favorites actually, Heaven's Gate. It too.
He was supposed to be an example of a reformed criminal. It was brought out by a guy who operated a reformation program. Reformed after the body parts in the freezer or before? Oh, stop.
It was run by a weird bald guy who wouldn't stop talking.
He was formally convicted of murder, only to be found with a dismembered human after going on Rogan.
This guy, Marshall Applewhite, but his friends called him Doe, which rhymes with Joe. Don't know if Joe designed his cult in homage to Doe's cult, but the similarities are striking. And I even heard a rumor that Joe's dog was named after Marshall Applewhite.
Marshall's trying to say hi to you. Hey, buddy.
Doe and Heaven's Gate's beliefs were a cool blend of alien spirituality and Christian apocalyptic prophecy.
I can't wait to get out of here.
Doe believed Jesus was an alien who came to Earth to guide us, and that Doe himself was a messenger from the higher plane of existence, sent here to warn humanity about the upcoming destruction. Sound familiar?
The name Jesus, of course, was the name given to the body, that mind that was indeed from the kingdom of heaven, and that mind came for the express purpose of teaching humans how they could be saved, how they would not be plowed under at the end of the age. Well, we're at the end of the age.
Like the universe has put me in this place where I'm like a scout, right? Like if you sent me down the trail, and I'm like, hey, there's a cliff.
Now, they didn't have podcasts back then, but Doe's lengthy, rambling seminar videos would fit in perfectly to our current podcasting landscape.
When things are going bad.
Many times the worst thing.
Wait, has Andrew Tate ever been on Joe Rogan? No. Do you think Epstein would have been on Rogan if he would have gotten caught?
That can happen
platform.
Wait, somebody in YouTube said, what do you think of Trump moving destroyer ships and 4,000 troops near Venezuela's coast? Was it, I always mix up Venezuela and Bolivia. Did we actually put a bounty on United States bounty? I don't know if I looked this up. I remember I mentioned this, but I don't know if I looked this up. $50 million on Maduro? Information bounty. Yes, and it's 100% deserved. Bro, this should be the next DGG adventure. You think we could find this guy? After initially offering a reward of up to $15 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Maduro in 2020, the Department of State on January 10th increased it to up to $25 million, and then on August 7th, 2025, the department announced a further increase in the reward of up to $50 million. Damn.
People have decided.
Over again.
We've established they're these billionaires, and they live in these compounds. Right. And certainly people like Michael Hastings and other people, they get killed all the time. They're super powerful people who will use technology to kill people to have their own way. So that means that there is some group or series of groups of people that are doing like highly nefarious actions.
I think the sad thing is that, like, because there have been old Rogan clips we've listened to where it's like Rogan wasn't just like doing the right answer. He had like the good explanation for it as well. And what changed? And I think it's literally just like the popularity wins. Like it was kind of popular to hate Trump in like 2016-ish. If you were a liberal, like people were on board with it for a while. And so he was just on it when it was popular. And then now that it's more popular to be like a little Trump sycophant, he just like moved with the winds to the Trump sycophancy.
Joe migrated into his
Fascinating to me about accusing Peter Thiel of being the Antichrist.
Now, Peter Thiel, in case you didn't know this in advance, is one of the primary billionaire techno-wizards we mentioned earlier. With his immense wealth, Thiel wields massive influence in politics, media, and online information from behind the scenes. He says cool stuff like, freedom and democracy are actually not compatible. Pete's company, Palantir, is deeply embedded with the CIA, ICE, FBI, NSA, police, and the military-industrial complex, and promises to be the most powerful mass surveillance platform to ever exist. He subscribes to a philosophy that believes that civilization as we know it ought to be destroyed, and from its ashes, a new technocracy should arise, a new state run by a CEO king who wields absolute authority. Pete is part of this new military tech industrial complex, operating with little oversight while creating autonomous weapons and surveillance systems, and whose algorithms remain a complete mystery. He's a caricature of a villain, straight out of a comic book. But Pete is real, and the exact kind of nefarious, influential guy that Duncan used to warn everybody about just a few years ago. All right, back to Duncan. What's he saying about Pete?
Here's what's fascinating to me about accusing Peter Thiel of being the fucking Antichrist.
Stop. He's
I saw
very
him give
much
a talk and awesome. And it was like totally normal dude, obviously super smart. There didn't feel like there was any kind of like subversive anything, nothing to...
Can I just... Why does it work so much? This happened with the Tates. It happened with Donald Trump. This guy's going to hear it, right? So there's this guy accused of being this very charismatic, subversive, manipulative character who's trying to control the world. And then inevitably you get some guy who meets him. It's like, actually, I met him. He's actually like super cool and very charismatic. And I didn't actually detect any subversive elements at all. Like, yeah, that's kind of that's like the fucking point. Like, what?
Really be scared of.
So people say that Peter Thiel is Antichrist, just for argument's sake.
Fucking says that.
You hear that? He's actually getting mad about this.
Argument's
Fucking says that.
The reason Dunk's got to do this is because the Comedy Czar is actually Pete's friend now. So he had to become a new guy to stay in Joe's circle of power, a shriveled husk of a guy, being fed by the demonic umbilical cord attached to the bowels of the Comedy Czar, from which he can never disengage. He's cooked.
What is the what's the quote? Oh, fuck, I wish I could remember it. Isn't there a quote about like the devil and like the devil shows up with like fucking sugar instead of, it's not sugar. What am I thinking of? Fuck, there's so many religious quotes where like, why for Adam and Eve it's a fucking apple, right? But like it's never like the devil shows up as this evil guy trying to get you to do, like, I'm just saying for all these people who obsess over these religious analogies and the Jungian archetypes and everything else.
Finished. And God, look at him. He's just not the same guy. Look in his eyes. It's obvious. Those are suey eyes. Well, that's a confirmed suey for Duncan.
What's this quote from? The devil doesn't come dressed in a red cape and pointing horns. He comes as everything you've ever wished for.
Rest in peace, man. Quel dommage. Well, once you've entered the Comedy Czar's comedy cult simulacrum, you're expected to do your part to uphold the pillars of this new reality. Upholding the pillars allows you to stay in the cult and potentially reap the rewards that come from its membership. These tenets bind...
There's nothing in the Bible indicating the fruit of knowledge is an apple. Well, it's a fruit, and they take a bite of it. What else could it be? You can't like take a bite of an orange unless you eat through the fucking thing. It's probably not a banana. Pears? Oh. Plum, fig, peach, apricot, cherries. It's not a literal fruit. Watermelon. In some earlier interpretation, it was a fig. Is a fig even a real fruit? I thought they were just like fig Newtons. Maybe.
The simulacrum together, and as we already explained, the more guys you've got upholding the pillars, the more stable the new reality becomes. Which is vital because if the simulation crumbles, it's all over for this stupid experiment. All cults need their tenets, and the Austin comedy toilet cult, or whatever we're calling it, is no different. Because Joe is the sole autocratic dictator of the entire scene, he could construct his world however he wanted to.
Starting it from the ground up. So it's this completely new thing, and it can kind of go a lot of different ways, and a lot of different things can happen. You don't know what's going to happen one way or the other. Those things are very exciting. It's scary, but it's exciting.
The primary pillar, like all cults, is the steadfast veneration, devotion, and reverence of the cult leader. Just like Jim Jones, Joe originally sold his comedy scene as a utopian paradise.
So make it as fun and as comfortable for the comics as possible, as welcoming to the comics as possible. It's a warm, inviting environment. And the whole idea is just to make it so that I can make it so they feel like
this is home.
And just like Jonestown, it quickly devolved into an authoritarian nightmare.
I like the intensity of the mothership. I bring my opener. He's having a rough set. I'm sitting on the balcony watching it. Rogan is standing there watching him bomb like this. Rogan goes, he's bombing, man. He can't be here. And I go, I agree. Kill him. You want to kill him? Kill him right now. We'll break his legs. Get the Navy SEALs. Let's shoot him in the face. And then the kid got off stage, and I felt really bad. I said, listen, you got to go right now. Gonna kill you. Joe is unhappy and it looks really bad. You gotta get out of this club right now.
The cultists all submit to the authority of its charismatic leader who can never be questioned or crossed. He's a supreme leader. In Austin is Comedy North Korea. Comedy cultists must pay tribute to the dear leader by praising him and are expected to excessively embellish his abilities, often to an absurd degree.
How many people on Earth do you think could kill you? 100, to be generous?
Maybe.
Very few people can kill you if they want to.
This is straight out of the North Korean playbook, where they
What was even the context of that?
pretend their dear leader was the world's greatest golfer after shooting 38 under par on his first ever round, including 11 holes in one. Comedy cultists are expected to study the beliefs of their dear leader and prove their commitment and allegiance by repeating his own opinions back to him.
I was doing the cold plunge after I did the sauna. I've incorporated a new thing that I was telling you where I get up first thing in the morning, I get in the cold plunge.
Sauna cold plunge thing, I'm so into it.
That's awesome.
My hotel choice, I'm solving for places with sauna cold plunge.
Of like a real legitimate professional comedian that can go up and do an hour and kill.
Not many.
I feel like it was like make your bed every day was like that was the advice for young men to be not losers. It was the Jordan Peterson make your bed every day. And then like the adult version of that advice was like, take a cold shower in the morning. This is where men are made.
Arenas, not many.
Not many. Not many for theaters. How many for theaters? Is there
I would
50?
say
100?
Yeah.
Maybe 100?
Probably less, man.
And by making sure your act panders to dear leader's personal interests and beliefs. You do that, you can tape your special at his spaceship club.
I got 2 daughters. I got a wife. She's a she, her. Just want to let you know that right off the bat. Like, the plumbing matches the pronouns, if you know what I'm talking about.
And really just doing whatever they got to do to appease him, no matter how debasing or humiliating it might be for them.
This is Chris DiStefano's very first time ever.
Okay.
Lighting and smoking a cigar.
Okay. Yeah.
Light
Is
that
this
cigar.
the right way?
Yeah. you
He's
got
gonna
it.
vomit. I want to see him vomit.
Get it on there. Get it on there. All right, you're good. Just start pulling.
Now suck
No,
it.
you're not. Breathe in while you're doing that. I felt it in his face. Puff. Keep puffing. There we
This
go.
is so mean.
Yeah, it smells. Take a sniff of these bits. Come see a sniff.
Take a smell. Yeah, you want me to go on the other side?
Yes, my
Come
king.
take a sniff.
Humiliation.
Yeah, that's right. Get in there.
Yeah.
Humiliation.
Not
That is bad.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
And the most shameful lie of all of them, you got to pretend that dear leader is actually funny. You got to laugh at any attempts at humor, no matter how embarrassing for him or you.
Baby, I'm a baby. It's all about me.
That's what it is.
What are you, some kind of communist? Hurry! Why?
Like, I'm a legit world-class comic. Like,
World-class.
I'm real.
Yeah. Everybody knows you as a comic.
The lie functions as a loyalty test.
Congratulations on your magnificent success.
Thank you very much.
And you're a comedian too, huh?
Yeah.
No shit.
You were murdering so hard when you're climbing on a stool. I was like, holy f. Because we all thought you're just like a famous guy who just does stand up on the side.
Uh-oh.
And we were like, nah, this guy's a murderer.
There it is. This lie is just so egregious, I had to call this brain science guy called Sam to get some perspective. Hey man, yeah, can you just explain how people could be this dishonest?
The harder the lies are to believe, I mean, really, the impossible lie functions like a loyalty test, right?
Yeah, that's what I was...
I thought about this earlier, but I don't want to like ruin the whole history of comedy, okay? And I wonder if like, it seems like the Joe Rogan stuff is very bad and obnoxious and annoying right now, but is that just like always comedians? Because especially as I've gotten older, if you go back and you watch like George Carlin stuff, it's also a lot of the same kind of like anti-establishment, especially if you watch his last 2 specials. It's a whole bunch of like the elites are out to get you and everybody's trying to fuck you over, and it's a lot of the same stuff. I wonder if it's a lot of the same. Although maybe, I guess back then, maybe the messaging was stuff that more we'd like agree with. Well, but not the Carlin stuff there, but I think like Richard Pryor, like people being like against racism and stuff. You know, I don't know.
Saying still.
Code for being in the cult is designed to get people to believe nothing, so that they just realize, okay, who knows?
Yeah, well, lucky man.
I'm just going to be obedient and keep my head down. I'm just going to put.
I've noticed that the vast majority of comedians peak with their first special and the rest are dog shit. Like, there aren't actually any good comedians. Yeah, I don't know if music is still like this, but my pet theory for bands, because I feel like bands went through, when I was growing up, bands had this thing where they would do like their first album. And the first album was like, if it was good, it was really good. And then the second album would either be like just as good, slightly worse, or even better. And then the third album would be them like redefining their sound or finding something different. And I wonder if like, imagine you're a band or you're a comedian, right? You've had your whole life to work on your songs, to work on your, you know, your 1 hour special, your material. And then when you finally get to put an album together, and when you finally get to do your 1 hour special, this is like your life's work of stuff, you know? And then maybe you've got enough left over for a second thing, and you can use your professional experience to iterate on it. But then by the time you've got like your first 2 albums out, now it's like, okay, like I just like edged and blew this, you know, 25-year load. And now I'm expected to like produce stuff that's on that level over and over and over again. Like everything else that comes after is not going to be even remotely as good as those first 2 things. And I feel like that's why a bunch of bands and everything end up doing like a rediscovering their sound or pushing in a new direction for the third album, or just kind of like fall off. Maybe, I don't know.
Put a sign in the window, claiming to believe the big lie, so that that no one drags me out of my shop and beats me to death on the sidewalk, right? I mean, like
yeah, that makes sense. All right, thanks, man.
It was Hannah Arendt's point.
All right, yep, good. Gotta go. Bye.
When loyalty is everything, if you're a ruler who demands total and complete loyalty, you're going to create a circle of liars around yourself.
Ousted comedian Chris D'Elia tried to defend Joe's last special, but he really struggled to navigate that maze, trying to find that perfect take that's going to convincingly praise that comedy atrocity.
Rogan's special came out, and I'm happy about it.
Oh,
it's
sorry,
so crazy how, like,
my bad.
Obviously I honestly haven't seen the reviews. I saw somebody saying it, and they were like, this is a this is a hack. And it was straight up just not hacky. The one thing that they have is it's hack. Like super woke people even know what
hello
is hack.
Yeah.
Albums were much more culturally substantial too. A single CD is the same cost, not more than a month of Spotify or Apple Music. Yeah, I also feel like stuff was associated more with albums too. Like, and I could be wrong, because I don't follow any popular music now, but like when there's like a new single that comes out, everybody's listening to it. Could anybody, I'm not trying to gatekeep, but like, could anybody even name the album it's on? Not even other songs on the album, but just like, what album did this come from? Like, do people know that anymore, or is it just singles and Spotify and stuff?
These appeals to dear leader through praise are made in hope that one day his gracious hand will reach down to them, bless them with his endorsement, and pull them out of their hellish obscurity.
So there's kind of this trickle down, Once Joe likes me, then your mom's house goes, want to be on our episode. Once Rogan was like, this Jeff Dye guy is really good, then everyone else has to fall in line.
Right, everyone else does.
Now I gotta treat daddy like dad. I gotta kiss the rings, You don't go on Joe Rogan and then start talking shit. Joe's dad.
The second pillar is they are the anti-mainstream, anti-commercial, anti-establishment underdogs. Dear Leader gained much of his power by selling himself as the antidote to corporate mainstream media and culture. His platform is now bigger and more influential than the mainstream media he once stood in opposition to. But because being anti-mainstream was such a fundamental part of his sense of self and his show and his audience's identity, they all have to keep pretending that they are not mainstream. Admitting otherwise...
I mean, singles were really popular back then too, no? That's why they're called singles. They were popular, but I feel like at the very least they were associated with an album. Like, even if you didn't listen to the album or didn't know songs off of the album, I feel like they were at least associated with it.
Guys could collapse their new reality, so they stick together, upholding that pillar, keeping their simulacrum stable.
Rejection of whatever is whatever people think the comedy industry is, because people think the comedy industry is like some group of people with power that control all and give people specials that don't deserve it. There's all this like weird thoughts about the comedy business. But when the comedy business is only comedians, there's no business element behind it. There's no networks. There's no producers. There's no person, no executive. There's none of that. So it's just wild.
Dear Leader is a billionaire, but instead of running his own show, he's still partnered with the tech establishment. He and all the cultists are connected to the biggest corporations on Earth, but still they maintain a facade of being independent DIY artists. As we all know, Joe got in tight with the
This reminds me of the like this myth of like Trump being the everyman, even though he's like a billionaire real estate guy from New York who made most of his money in reality TV. It's like, but he's like the everyman who represents us. It's like, how did that happen? How does trailer trash people identify as, you know, Trump's friend, but like the coastal elites are the ones that are out of time? Like, yeah, so weird.
DIY artists. As we all know, Joe got in tight with the U.S. regime and became the government's own Comedy Czar. The regime's comedy puppet dictator, like Comedy Lukashenko. He's now literally an extension of the U.S. government. But inside the reality of the mothership cult, he's still the anti-mainstream underdog. And obviously this makes no sense at all, but because all this is taking place inside an anti-reality simulacrum, it somehow just works.
You have like comedic instincts. Like when you said to Hillary, you'd be in jail. Like that's great timing.
It's funny, you need at least the attitude of a comedian when you're doing this business.
It's the most dangerous business.
Being president is the most dangerous.
Especially you. Imagine if there was assassination attempts on Biden.
Pillar 3, they are real comedians, a special class of human, an elite artist class. Comedy is sacred. And the mothership is both a holy temple.
I was in the mothership last night, and that audience were like church.
And the center of the comedy universe.
The comedy mothership is the hub of comedy in the world.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's comedy mecca. The green room is the Kaaba, the house of God. Being granted entry is considered one of the cult's high...
Quote, elitism is so ugly, end quote. Jesus Christ.
Honors.
We laugh in that green room, and the best thing about the green room is how restrictive it is. You know, that you just can't go in there.
The Comedy Czar considers his entry into comedy a religious experience. That transformative moment where he was converted, baptized by Mitzi Shore, and transcended from a civilian into a real comedian.
I remember thinking, I gotta get to the Comedy Store. It was like,
it's Mecca.
It was Mecca. It was a religious call. I mean, if there was anything like that in my life, that was it. She passed me as a non-paid regular after my first audition. I couldn't sleep that night. A real...
Lonerbox says it right. Trump is an Arab Gulf billionaire in a fat white man's body. Jesus.
As a non-paid regular after my first audition, I couldn't sleep that night. A real comedian. A real comedian. A real comedian.
Dear Leader's beloved Saint Mitzi must be revered and venerated by the cultists as their adopted spiritual deity. There's this guy here, Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll TV again.
Now, he's not a comic, he's a singer, but he has successfully joined the mothership cult by carefully studying and obeying the pillars. Here he is performing for Dear Leader, showing his reverence for Saint Mitzi, crying about and praising the woman he's never met.
Speaking of Mitzi's, I was so inspired by the way the mothership has Mitzi's, and it's like an honor to Mitzi's. Touched my soul in such a way. What y'all have created there is spreading on to, damn, you almost got me emotional talking about a woman I never even met. I just know she did so much for you.
Doing stand-up is a transcendent spiritual experience that only real comics will ever be able to tap into.
But Richard Dawkins is never killed on stage. He doesn't know the connection between human beings that comes through laughter and joy in that way.
Walk to the women's locker room with a heart. Abracadabra!
Dear Leader draws a stark distinction between the comedian class and what he calls civilians, regular guys, lower-tier humans. This Hassan guy explains some of the differences between higher-tier humans, comedians, and the lower-tier average human.
The plebes.
And how difficult it can be to even be around such low-tier guys.
Our ability to talk to literally anyone is a skill set. Like,
totally.
Do you ever have to, when you go to like a party with your ladies' work friends?
Yes.
And you're like, bro, there are fucking just goobers out here. Yeah, just office banter. I was at a work thing with my wife. We're like in a building, and outside the window, it looked like someone was about to jump off.
Oh, wow.
The guy goes like, is that guy like, is he walking on the roof? I go, the part didn't go his way, so he's just.
yeah. And they're like,
Pillar 4, they are brave truth tellers. and victims of an authoritarian mob of censors. They need to be seen as oppressed victims so they can appear as heroes for standing up to the threat. Inside their simulacrum, they are the modern-day incarnations of guys like Lenny Bruce, Dick Gregory, and Mort Saul. Look them up.
We're drinking, my friends, in the Last Chance Saloon.
This reminds me of the when you'll see people. Bro, I got an autism TikTok. No, an autism Instagram reel algo. Okay, a week ago, and sometimes I would just pull these things, and it's like having autism is when like somebody makes a demand of you, and then it makes you upset or whatever, and it's like, motherfucker, this is just a normal human experience. Or people will be like, oh, like, I can tell I have ADHD because, you know, when I get homework, I really don't want to do it. I'd rather go outside or play video games. It's like, okay. And it's like, this is just a normal experience, right? Like, do you know what it's like having to go to an office meeting and talk to people that you don't want to talk to and have to do things that you don't want to do? Like, yeah, that's just, these are normal. Yeah, welcome to humanity, bro.
And Mort Saul. Look him up.
We're drinking, my friends, in the Last Chance Saloon. What I'm saying on stage tonight is barely acceptable now. In 10 years' time, forget about it. You'll say, I saw a man and he stood on stage and he made light of serious situations. We used to call them jokes.
Us versus them mentality is a hallmark of cult psychology. Jim Jones fabricated threats like government persecution and fascist takeovers all the time, and he taught his followers that his temple was the only safe place from the dangerous and decaying outside world. The Heaven's Gate followers believed that they and the rest of humanity were under the control of deceptive lower-tier aliens called Luciferians, false gods who controlled Earth's religions, governments, and media, corrupting the minds of humans. The only way to escape the Luciferian threat was to submit to Do, Sui out of this world, and get on that spaceship. This fosters paranoia and isolation, which helps bind the cultists together and keeps them fearful and loyal to the leader. The mothership comedy cult Toilet Piss Pipe employs the same psychological strategy. Like Heaven's Gate's Luciferians, the comedy piss cult also fabricated a
to behave and think a very certain way.
I just can't believe after talking to that Ryan dude at the end of the conversation where he's like, I agree, that's horrible. I agree, that's horrible. I agree, that's horrible. It's like, okay, so then would you want to, would you still vote for Trump over Kamala? It's like, yes. It's like, for what reason again? And he's like, I'm worried that affirmative action is going to ruin my kids' lives. It's like, what? Like, what are we talking about? And how many times in your life are you intersecting with anything having to do with DEI or affirmative action or?
Well, they're just nuts. People out there.
Yeah, no, don't be a cool island guy. Give yourself to the cult. Migrate to that new reality, and you'll cool island.
Fucking sad. Yeah, with comics. You didn't have any comics for friends? There's a lot of fucking sad people out there.
Okay, dude.
Yeah, no, don't be a cool island guy. Give yourself to the cult. Migrate to that new reality, and you'll be able to achieve things you never thought possible. Because they aren't possible, really, unless you're doing it inside the simulacrum. But that's your new reality now, so that's okay. But don't ever make the mistake of going against the pillars or disrespecting the Comedy Czar.
No.
Or you'll be swiftly ejected from the group. It's back to classic reality for you.
You're gonna get more people that are very uncomfortable with their own lives and want to live a different life. Well, when you think about where this is all headed, there's only a few different directions that one could go to, and simulated reality is a big one. It's coming.
It's already here, and you're in it. We don't need to invent brain implants or anything like that. Our brains are already configured to live in artificial reality. All you need is a reason. If your career's about to expire because your entire fan base is headed to the glue factory, migrating to the simulacrum offers you access to a whole new, younger audience.
And I'm pretty emotional about the mothership. I think that the universe used you just to get me back out of this fucking hole that I was in. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know.
If you got anxiety about not being funny, you can eliminate that by knowing you can always just do a boring, boilerplate TED Talk soapbox sermon about one of the pillars, and the cult followers will love it.
Apparently, I'm not very PC. I'm not one of those people who tries so fucking hard to like prove how woke what a good person. You know what I mean? It's so exhausting.
You don't even have to be a comic to join and reap the benefits of this simulacrum. There are many cultists who work in other fields that personally interest the Comedy Czar, like science.
I've been talking to scientists and doctors and biologists and virologists for months and months and months.
And if you're an academic guy rapidly approaching the end of your career and you're spiraling inside because you're scared to die without leaving behind that meaningful legacy you always dreamed about.
You know this question, like, what has Eric Weinstein ever done? I actually have been scared of this question. And I've lived afraid of my own story.
You can just pretend you're the new Einstein. Create your own new theory of everything. Just write whatever.
I feel like the saddest thing about this guy is I didn't realize this until after it was even sometime I think after the Sean Carroll and him debating on Piers. I thought that this guy had like figured out his theory of everything, you know, like a couple of years ago. I didn't realize it was a thing that he'd published. He printed a PDF or whatever in the 90s, I think, right? Like it's over 25 or 30 years old, and then like nothing has happened with it since then. Jesus.
Whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
What is this thing that you handed me? What is this?
It's the theory of everything. A water wiggle structure about.
Wait, really? Yes, I'm pretty sure the paper, that PDF or whatever that he published, is just it's from like 96 or 97. Somebody like it. Somebody like the original.
Circle that nobody's ever seen.
Or I'll look for it.
Every point in space and time.
It doesn't matter that it doesn't make any sense in classic reality. In the simulacrum, the followers are so stupid that they won't know if it makes sense or not. They can't tell, it's just a bunch of bullshit.
You're spinning that circle over and over again. So this is an actual model of a gauge theoretic concept.
And since you got the Comedy Czar's endorsement, whatever you say is brilliant, even though they have no idea what you're even talking about.
In 2013, he was invited to give a lecture on his theory called geometric unity. He put the PDF online in April 2021. But I think he finished this before 2013. I think it was finished in I want to say it was the 90s. I'll try to see if I can find this source.
Can a piece of paper effectively will two hands into drawing each other into existence?
This seems pretty crazy, eh? Well, a while back, these Weinstein guys accidentally revealed the entire motivation behind their schemes.
When we do our homework and we discover something interesting and absolutely nobody else gets it, to you and me, that feels good. To know that you have achieved something and that nobody else can even recognize it gives you some sort of sense of how far ahead you might be.
Do you think his geometric unity theory solidified in his mind or disintegrated over time? I feel like for stuff like that, I wouldn't say solidified. I would use the term calcified. Like it becomes this hard but like brittled thing. Like when you say solidify, the implication is that a thing is becoming more and more solid. But I feel like when you say calcify, the idea is it's becoming harder and more fragile because if one thing were to snap on it, your whole existence basically shatters. And so once you become so invested in a thing, like he can never, ever, ever walk away. he can never walk away from that theory because his whole life is like invested into it, you know?
Remember,
and this guy doesn't even have his Lagrangians, okay? How you can have a theory of everything without your Lagrangians? My God, how cringe. Wow, yikes.
It's not a lie if you believe it. Inside the simulacrum, you're now the genius you always wanted to be. And you can stop worrying about being a failure.
What made you want to do this?
When you ask why as a kid, what happens if you keep asking?
Great question.
You either end up in theoretical physics or an insane asylum. And so I just didn't stop.
If you want to become a stoic genius guru kind of guy who knows everything about life, a cold, logically calculated debate, God, but you're actually a hysterical, emotional baby, overwhelmed by everything, has no idea what's real, and can't discuss anything without spiraling out and melting down like a child.
It's also overwhelming.
Well, the simulacrum followers will pretend you're not doing all that stuff. And you can be that guru guy. You can get exposed in classic reality for claiming that the definition of belief is...
If you believe something, you stake your life on it.
So you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
What does that mean?
While also getting caught completely believing in Chinese involuntary human semen milking factories.
Jordan Peterson just unironically retweeted a video of a BDSM male milking dungeon in the UK, claimed to be footage of human rights abuses in China.
Does he think that the Chinese government has special facilities where men can go and have like their penises pumped?
I think he does. I think he does.
Because if so, based.
By his own logic means he would die for Chinese semen milking factories, which ought to make a guy certifiably insane. But not in the simulacrum, where you'll remain the wise guru. Simulacrum migrants also gain access to the cult's Copadex, a reference guide of pre-made dogmatic copes, a virtually endless collection of excuses for anything you could possibly be criticized for. These copes are born inside Dear Leader's own brain, and trickle down throughout the simulacrum for all to use.
How come you're not looking at your own self with the same scrutiny that you look at this extremely successful person?
Yeah.
It's because you're jealous.
So many people hate me for really no reason, and it really made me realize that like people only hate somebody they're jealous of.
You know, like people.
Okay, I didn't read through his whole fucking paper because fuck this. But maybe am I taking this out of context or interpreting this incorrectly? There is something about the nature of latex that is likely to confuse the professional reader. Latex, I think, is like a language that you can use to type in like mathematical things or whatever. It is as if a typeset document constitutes agreement to participate in some academic social contract. Latex, no? Oh. No such consent is intended by this. The author functions totally divorced from the professional research context, which is oddly automatically inferred from typeset mathematics by nearly every capable reader, perhaps due to the rarity of such research programs. LaTeX? Oh. It's pronounced LaTeX? Without wishing to dwell on this unduly, there is no way around the fact that the author has been working in near total isolation from the community for over 25 years, does not know the current state of the literature, and has few, if any, colleagues to regularly consult. As such, this document is an attempt to begin recovering a rather more complete theory, which at this point only partially remembered and stitched together from old computer files, notebooks, recordings, and the like, dating back to as far as 1983 or 1984, when the author began the present line of investigation. This is the first time the author has attempted to assemble the major components of the story and has discovered in the process how much variation there has been across matters of notation, convention, and methodology. Every effort has been made to standardize notation, but what you are reading is stitched together from entirely heterogeneous sources, and inaccuracies and discrepancies are regularly encountered, as well as missing components when old work is located. The author notes many academics. Wait. Is this a real word?
Academician.
Academicians. The author notes many academicians find this unprofessional and therefore irritating. This is quite literally unprofessional, as the author is not employed within the profession and has not worked professionally on such material since the fall of 1994. If you find this disagreeable, please feel free to take your professional assumptions elsewhere. Okay, wait. I assumed when it said he wasn't working professionally since 94 that it meant that this is like a theory from 94, but I guess he's saying that He's worked on this since then, but stopped working within a professional field on it since 1994, and then has stitched together other things. So I guess I don't know when the last time he updated his theory was, because it's all stitched together from older shit. So, okay, this is where I got that idea from then.
People don't like him because, you know, whether you judge his comedy or judge his podcast or judge whether, you also have to judge how he looks, and he's a beautiful man, built like a Adonis. It really makes people uncomfortable, me included. I'm his friend.
I mean, people don't want to laugh at like physically attractive people. Like, you don't want to walk on stage and have people looking at your arms rather than listening to your jokes.
And when you can't get a date and nobody wants to you, because statistically nobody wants to date people who live in your hyper-real simulacrum, you can ease your inner turmoil by uttering the sacred comedy cult mantra.
It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
I remember this. Wait, hold on.
But in a positive manner.
Sure.
Like many arms. So I tried to put some narrative to it. It's difficult too, but I tried to. What struck me was that it's remarkably simple. I remember I said that to you, and I thought you'd be angry at me.
The highest compliment you could possibly pay me. Because I know how hard it is. Look, Kurt, if I'm honest, I've failed every year for 40 years to communicate this.
And I want to say also that I make it my living to go through different people's theories of everything.
Okay, so yeah, I think my statement is mostly true then. That he's basically been completed. He's had this grand theory of everything basically completed at least 30 years ago, and maybe he's like slightly changed it since then. Although he still doesn't have like the major mathematical. What is It's too beyond me. What are your Lagrangians? Is that just saying? Is it really just trying to describe how you move through space-time? Like that's it? Like it's a simple thing, but like the equation is going to be like 2 pages long or something? Is that what your Lagrangian is? It's how you get something from like point A to point B or something. Like it sounds simple, but it's a big deal, I guess, if you're a fucking loser physicist. Coordinate space, yeah, whatever. But apparently, if you don't have that, then they laugh at you. Okay, makes you a fucking loser. So,
as you've seen with all this scientific evidence and logic here, these facts. Joining the comedy cult can offer tremendous opportunities. Submit to the leader. Perform your sui. Become a new guy if you have to. Migrate into the simulacrum. And help uphold its supportive pillars. That's the blueprint, and a lot of guys are on that path. But there's one guy who has followed the path of dear leader better than anyone. His name, is...
Who?
Tony.
Oh, Tony. Really?
Hint.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I've just been dreading getting to this section. Generally speaking, I try to separate the scheme from the schemer, appreciate the beauty of a good scheme, and it's a brilliant scheme, it really is. How it works is his show allows him to be on stage at all times, getting attention without having to do anything at all, really.
The streamer method.
If the show is ever funny, it's because of the guests. He'll brag about how funny this Trump-Biden episode was, but that was these guys who made it funny.
Come on, huh? Come on.
But since reality can be whatever he wants it to be, Tony can easily pretend that the laughs the show generates are all actually for him.
3 times you got married.
Honestly, that's not that bad.
What did Tony even do? Nothing.
This is a good bit.
Nothing really. A few snide remarks here and there, and just basic MC duties. The show is abuse, disguised as comedy. Tony took this idea from the world of professional wrestling. What makes pro wrestling so compelling is the concept of kayfabe, a collective suspension of disbelief, maintaining the illusion that the characters, the fights, and the drama are all real. Kill Tony runs on comedy kayfabe, but Tony flipped it. Where wrestling is fun theater disguised as violence, Kill Tony is violence disguised as fun theater.
There's very few people willing to admit that they miscarried. Was that a sad time for you?
It was the lowest point in my life.
Really? He's calling in right now. We have
Despite all of them being followers of a comedy cult, they're all miserable.
I'm encouraging you to quit right now. I think when you find that job, I think you should quit. I don't see it happening for you. Eleanor, you knew me when I was 24. I was already 2 years
Right, but you're not autistic.
Stand over there by the red X. You're really getting a little close. Nope, the other direction, AJ. Thank you.
Kill Tony is supported by the same pillars as the broader Austin comedy colon
Jesus.
cult, which, as we've proven, are all complete inversions of classic reality. Tony is the megalomaniacal dictator. He must be submitted to and respected. He is a roast god. Comedy Czar proclaims that Tony is the greatest roast comedian alive. And if that idea is ever threatened, he loses his mind. He got very upset when this Jeremiah guy was getting too many laughs roasting the roast master.
You don't do that.
You don't do that?
Oh, no, never, never.
Why not?
Wait, is that true? Is Kill Tony considered one of the greatest roasters? Maybe he is. I just haven't seen them, I guess.
Against the rules.
This guy looks bi. Bye.
Oh, youth.
Takes one to know one.
Yes. Go have your magic moment. This is the biggest thing in your career. Go do it. Go get it. Go get it. Is that a school bus attached to your face? You flaming homosexual. Takes one to know one.
Yep.
He allegedly cemented his title with this performance at the Tom Brady roast in 2024.
Wait. Does anybody have a link to that section of that Kill Tony episode? I want to see it.
If you actually listen to his jokes, they're, I don't know, they're really just okay.
Tom Brady. Why do you look like a gay Tom Brady?
But his fellow comedy cultists on stage help sell them and show you how to react. This is straight out of pro wrestling. They all sell the joke in the same way a wrestler sells his opponent's attack.
Oh, that wasn't Kill Tony? Oh, never mind. Well, whatever show it was, damn.
This joke here got a huge reaction. People in the Austin simulacrum were literally talking about it for days.
Bert Kreischer is the king. He looks like if the Tiger King and the Liver King only ate Burger King and had a liver that looked like Martin Luther King got beat up by Rodney King.
And I'm sitting here over and over again hearing how brilliant this was. Just feeling completely bamboozled. Because I already heard this joke on another roast 10 years ago.
Lisa, Larry King, Don King, Rodney King, and Billie Jean King in the Burger King bathroom.
Tony also got a huge buzz after he did this infamous joke roasting Puerto Rico.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And again, I'm just confused because it was even better when this guy...
AI has obviously gotten us all into some trouble.
Sorry, fuck, wait.
But I think it's also something we got to look out for. So, Mark?
Comedy.
AI me.
Yeah.
But you can't do it at the same time.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because this might be something I'm not getting.
Go get it.
This guy's great.
What is that, an antenna on that? You don't look like Mark. No, is that a fucking school bus
Yes.
attached to your face?
Mark Norman. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, I'm missing half of this. I don't get it. This is just... I'm too old. I'm sorry.
Kind of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And again, I'm just confused because it was even better when this guy, Dylan Jarbo, did it on Kill Tony back in 2021.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's currently a 500-mile peninsula of trash in the Atlantic Ocean, and I used to live there. It's called Florida.
Oh yeah, gonna write that one down. I did like this joke he did about how murderers never seem to dig deep enough graves.
I know how to get away with murder now. Because I know where everybody that gets caught always f***s up. Yeah, they always get a little lazy around burial time. You know what I never see on those crime shows? The body was discovered after being buried 75 feet deep in the ground.
Until I realized it was just a cover of a Norm Macdonald joke.
Like, these serial killers are supposed to be so shrewd and cunning, but then when it comes time for the grave, they get a little hasty, you know? And I would never, ever kill a lady in cold blood. But if I did, I would take her body to the woods and bury her in a very, very, very deep grave.
I'd rather listen to the proper original, personally. But what do I know? And yeah, some people will say it's easy to arrive at similar joke concepts, but it's Norm Macdonald, for Christ's sake. It'd be like a musician putting this riff in their song, then being like, hey, I didn't know. I just arrived at a similar concept, I guess.
Oh shit! I just realized that this is like the thing, the rant I have on like healthcare and whatever other things, where it's like you don't need the YouTube ad revenue. You could just like have a non-monetized show. But like now that it's a thing that people can get, people are like, oh no, I need the ad revenue, or else I'm being oppressed if I don't do everything I can to adhere to whatever the Google guidelines are.
Censoring himself to get that paycheck as if the Netflix deal wasn't enough.
That's what Kill Tony is. There's no business element behind it. There's no networks.
That's the kind of backwards logic that only works inside this comedy simulacrum. Just an incredible example of the ability these cultists have to bend reality. The show is sold as a chance to transcend the rungs of human existence to that higher level, to a high-tier real comedian.
That you are indeed the newest golden ticket winner here.
But what it actually is a multi-level comedy scheme, exploiting people's hopes of getting the hell out of their lives, and funneling money up to the top of the comedy pyramid to the big man, the Comedy Czar, everyone involved taking a little piece of the pie on the way up. The vibe of the show is terribly depressing, like watching a bunch of demons torturing lost souls.
Look at it, boy, looking like he on trial for touching kids. He can't even say that. You look gay. Try to do better next time.
You suck. There will be no next segment. You're blacklisted. Go.
Anything that interrupts their sadistic ritual gets flushed right out of there. Even the great Ric Flair was shat upon just for daring to be real.
Oh, I'm a wrestling coach for a high school.
$5 million home off the backs of open micers is the greatest achievement in human history. There's nothing better than that. To watch Casey Rocket sweat so he can buy a second lake house is brilliant.
All right, so it looks like Tony Hinchcliffe finally got canceled, but not really in the way that he's always fantasized about. You see, instead of getting canceled by the evil woke mob for saying an offensive slur, Tony Hinchcliffe was literally canceled by the WWE after he couldn't sell enough tickets for his SummerSlam event, an event
might help him. You fart knocker. I love that I have literally the worst recorded backups in the history of the show.
They are.
Fart knocker, bibbity bobbity. Remember hibbity bobbity?
Tony, if we didn't edit, we would have nothing.
Holy shit, wait. Are my your mom jokes kind of funny? If this is like the standard, right?
So he really tries his hardest to roast these guys here, but the jokes just never really land. And after a while, the guys he's with just start to belittle Tony right to his face.
I mean, you have enough money to buy out Madison Square Garden, and you still dress like a broke piece of shit from Tallahassee, Florida. Like, when you pick your outfit, are you just like, I don't want people to know this is a real Rolex. I don't want people to know I have sex with Cam Patterson for money.
That was flush.
Sit down too much. Gotta turn it.
And the reason I'm labeling this as belittling instead of roasting is because you can really tell that Tony's not too happy at the guy suggesting that he's wearing a fake Rolex, or that his outfit style doesn't scream that he's rich. Because if there's one thing that Tony would be genuinely offended by, it would be from someone suggesting that he's not high class.
But you know, he just blends in, like he's clearly a man of the people with his fake golden Rolex watch. Yep, that is so...
That watch is equivalent to how cool these Jordans are.
Yeah, he stole it from Cam Patterson.
You guys are literally don't know anything about taste or class.
No. Says the guy who has his shirt tucked in at a pigeon butt. You don't know about class.
You have a stick in your back pocket. You're gonna need it to walk after Joe Rogan fucks you.
So then Tony continues to try and chirp at them, but nothing really sticks. And sure, you might say that it's a pretty casual setting. These are just guys being dudes. But in reality, Tony knows that he's truly bombing hard. I mean, this is the guy who considers himself the king of roasting. The guy with the license plate titled I Roast.
I don't know if you've heard about my license plate, but I roast.
It's his only trick. So shouldn't he be a bit better than this?
Oh yeah. Sound good. You're gonna need a stick of butter to hit that next ball with. Because it's a greasy shot.
Well, come on in, boy. You must want one of these gay cars, or as we call them, Tacoma Toyota Tundras. You can use the stick shift with your asshole. And to operate the turn signals, you gotta use your wet mouth. Come on down, you dirty little Jew boy.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan experience.
I mean, you know it's bad when Tony's laughs are the only ones heard after he tries ribbing his way out of the grave he dug for himself. So overall...
Okay, I'm not trying to be like a woke policer. But there's gotta be something more than just your gay jokes and variations of that, right?
In this one example, he really didn't put on the comedic masterclass like I think the hosts were expecting. But to be fair, Tony's never claimed to be the best off-the-cuff roaster in real time. His best roasting is actually done when he pre-writes jokes for legitimate roasts. Because if you didn't know this by now, before turning Kill Tony into the huge spectacle that it is today, Tony actually worked for Comedy Central as a ghostwriter, writing jokes for the celebrities in the roast of Justin Bieber and the roast of Rob Lowe. So this format of roasting is what Tony's truly known for. And honestly, when I first watched his set on the roast of Tom Brady, I thought it was hilarious. But in hindsight now, I think we all may have been fooled, since it was in contrast to the normal non-comedians who went before Tony that night. Like, of course, Tony would be the funniest guy in the room in comparison to them, right? What would happen though if he did a roast with only comedians as guests on the panel? Would Tony still be king? Well, let's check out the most recent time this happened, the roast of Louis J. Gomez, which featured comedians like Shane Gillis, Rob Kelly, Joe List, and Big J. Okerson. You know, people who are just a tad bit funnier than a drunk Rob Gronkowski spitting on the mic. So let's just compare Tony's set with the other comedians that night to see if Tony's a true master as he says.
Ari looks like Nosferatu. Ari now famously does yoga. If I wanted to see something all stretched out that disappoints black men, I would just look at Kim Congdon's pussy. Ari does yoga. His career is also downward-facing dog. You got canceled for making fun of Kobe Bryant. If only your career could rebound as good as he did. Ari got in trouble with Lakers fans for...
I feel like he's just like reading him down. That sounds like Hassan reading chatter. What's going on?
Saying he was glad Kobe was dead. They told him to go to hell, but it's gonna be weird when he runs into Kobe's daughter there.
Or maybe this is the format?
Joe List is here. I have a Joe List. It's a list of awesome shit I get to do because I'm friends with Joe Rogan. You fucking bitter New Yorkers. I'm sorry Dave Attell can barely afford to take you guys to fucking dinner. Should have convinced him to do a podcast, you fucking pussy idiots. Kim Congdon. How about a hand for Kim, everybody? She's like one of the guys. Unless you're talking about her setup here tonight, then she's not like one of the guys at all. Kim was built to live here in Texas. She already gets an abortion every 6 weeks. She can take shots to the head and chest, and her pussy looks like brisket.
Are you spitting it out?
You know, you can clearly tell that he's been doing this for a long time, but I think where Tony goes wrong is that he seemingly tries too hard to get canceled, which is exactly what got him in bad graces with the WWE and at the Trump rally. It's almost like his roasts revolve solely around extremely sensitive topics that are just shocking, just to appeal to the crowd that's against the quote-unquote woke agenda policies like the censorship that YouTube uses on its platform.
How are we gonna get rid of all these illegal immigrants?
And I believe Tony's lost himself in this one-sided battle he had.
Okay.
Maybe I am the asshole. I'm gonna see what people are saying about their recent show in London. We got some voicemail here from a few guys in attendance. Let me see what they're saying.
I was stage right, and every scumbag up there booed non-stop for everything, and laughed when they got any reaction, or could make a comic react. Booze, fights, people up and down to get drinks or a sniff in the bathrooms, and people so fucked up they didn't know where their seats were.
Comedy is fun.
These three blokes dressed as cowboys were sitting at the back, throwing things and being loud by all accounts, but I just noticed when they threw something at the women in front of me. So I stood up and threw some sweets at them, and then I put my jumper on, walked up there and slapped one of the cowboy hats off their head. Then me and the three of them had a good brawl, and I thought it went rather well. But afterwards it turns out I had a couple of great big cuts on my head, so I'm not sure how that happened because their punches actually seemed very weak, and I didn't get any black eyes, bruises, or broke nose.
Kill Tony never released that episode, by the way. Wait, what does this come from? Are these like what is this?
I left the building sharpish and went home to bed. Did anyone see if they had any weapons? Because I've come away with some nasty lacerations that's going to scar me face.
That sounds like a comedy show to me. Good, good, good. But yeah, it's a toxic environment. That's why it was the perfect place for Tony to transition into his final new guy. That's why it's called Kill Tony. It's where the old original Tony went to die. He unveiled his fully transitioned self with his most recent comedy special, tweet thing. And that's why that is called Garbage. Tony in, garbage out. And this new Tony just seems even more pissed off. He seems to still be following in the Comedy Czar's footsteps.
These are real voicemails, by the way? Wait, sent to who? For what?
Right off a cliff.
Or I understand it was supposedly going over that show that wasn't posted, but where did they release these at?
But when a guy doesn't have a real male role model, and all he's got is the Comedy Czar, what else could you expect? And now he spends time on the show doing these deranged, awkward rants about whatever dumb shit most recently pissed.
They're not real, to be honest. I'm a Brit, and they're blatantly fake as fuck. Those English accents were fake. I can't tell. You guys sound like fucking...
him off.
I think they called into a radio show, fake Brit accent. It's a bit with Doug Benson called Kill Tony.
Just like Dad.
But I came back home because I faced anti-Semitism.
You know, I hear this, but it's kind of funny because, like, if you make fun of an Italian, there's no word for that. If you make fun of everybody else, it's racist. Your people have a special word for racism. What do you think that means? If you take yourself out of the picture, what do you think about your people having a special word for just you? And what exactly did they say or do to you there?
They said, like, go back to, you know, Poland, all the normal shit.
But you've never been to Poland?
No, my ancestry is Ukrainian.
Oh, wow. There's some uneducated idiots that are rooting for you now, not realizing that that country's stealing our money.
Comedy show.
What?
I'm a doctor.
What was your schooling like?
Wait! This is my third one for the stream. I get one per stream. Or 3 per stream, I mean. Wait. Hold on. You actually have to give me this one. I get one. This is mine. It's actually it's Varys from Game of Thrones. This is actually a match. Yes, it actually is. Hold on. We're polling on this. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait. I can feel this is like a 60%er, okay? This is a 60%er here. You guys are haters. Haters and incorrect.
Doctor?
What?
It's absolutely Varys.
Was your schooling like super Canadian?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but I study the Canadian healthcare system because they brag about how good it is. And I like to do my own research just to make sure that I live in the greatest country on planet Earth, and I do. But Canada does rides now for anybody that wants one. Am I correct?
No.
I know more about your system than you because I have a bit about it.
Hopefully you can tell by now that that right there is a good...
What? My mind just... I feel like this is something like a tech bro would say. Something about how, like, if you work with LLMs, you actually know more about surgery than surgeons do, because we have to train our bots on like so many different surgery data sets, probably more than real surgeons do. So we know, like, that just, I don't know why, it just sounds like a thing a tech bro would say.
More about your system than you because I have a bit about it.
Hopefully you can tell by now that that right there is a guy who has fully migrated into a simulacrum. There really is something in the eyes, eh? Suey eyes. That's definitely a real thing. It's hard to believe, but all this crazy shit is how the top of the comedy world works now. I was tempted to end the investigation there.
Wait, somebody said a few times, I understand the point of the video and I agree with the overall point, but I feel as though he is reading too much into certain situations. Like, maybe I could sort of maybe agree with this. I think the big problem though is that like everything has become political. So therefore, like, these guys have become plugged into everything, right? Like, nothing has a domain anymore. Like, everything is it feels like everything is just like touches on everything from now on. I'm trying to think if it was ever like this in the past. Like, would I listen to a comedian podcast who would have on flat earthers and then COVID denialists, and then people talking about the evilness of the CIA, and then people, like, it's just like, it's so, like, probably the majority of Joe Rogan's guests now are not comedian types at all, right? But then also all the comedians have this nexus with Joe Rogan. And, it's like the thing I said before where people will do this thing where it's like, oh, this person just made a mistake, or this person just like messed up, or this person just, they're being sarcastic or whatever. And it's like, okay, but it's always in one direction. If it was just like humor where they're kind of making fun of everybody or having goof surgery, that's fine. But it feels like it becomes this like political safe haven for all these people. I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. I don't know, it feels weird, man. Somebody said George Carlin was very political. Yeah, I agree with that, but there wasn't like the George Carlin talk show where he brings on every single large figure in society. And then
But I just kept staring up at that photo of David Lucas.
When you ask why as a kid, what happens if you keep asking? You either end up in theoretical physics or an insane asylum. And so I just didn't stop.
And it got me thinking, if Tony can build his own simulacrum nested inside of the Comedy Czar's simulacrum, then what if Joe the Comedy Czar's simulacrum is also nested inside a bigger, more powerful simulacrum. Well, guess what? It is. You just need to follow the breadcrumbs. It's actually not that difficult. Everything's right out in the open, which is part of this bigger cult strategy. They hide in plain sight, and they lay their plans out in public for all this.
They had a show back then. It was a UFO/conspiracy radio show with Art Bell. Yes, I know that because when I worked graveyard at the casino, sometimes it would be on the radio, or I'd hear it going home or coming back. It was called Coast to Coast with Art Bell, and sometimes guest starring with George Norrie. Is that who the guy was? Yeah, but that was like very compartmentalized. Wait, did I say Space Ghost? I said Coast to Coast. Yeah, but it was like that was like the crazy show. Like you listened to it knowing that it was like the crazy show, and yeah.
See, because people tend to think if this were real.
George Carlin was highly political in the sense of partisanship. He just said, the establishment is bad and the man is out to get you. Yeah, that was George Carlin's politics. I'm trying to think, did George Carlin like ever endorse politicians? Like, I think he was more just on the like everybody's bad, they all suck kind of thing. That was my feeling.
And they lay their plans out in public for all to see, because people tend to think if this were real, they would be hiding it.
What's your problem?
Anyways, remember Joe's buddy Duncan, warning him about what might happen now that Joe's podcast had become so massive and influential? About guys from deep dark wells of influence penetrating Joe like a battering ram and using him to blow radioactivity all over the world? Well, he was spot on. And thanks to Guru David's guidance, we figured out who those evil penetrators are. They are a self-fulfilling, prophetic doomsday cult, run by technocratic billionaires who want the world to crumble so they can rule over its ashes. An Armageddon death cult, obsessed with the demise of humanity.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't like to do the punching up, punching down thing because I feel like that gets abused a lot. But it does feel like George Carlin was generally on the, like, attacking the big man and not shitting on minorities and immigrants and trans people and whatever else. And I do think it comes across differently. Like, it feels like you have kind of there's a different character or tone, I guess, to the set. If, in general, if you're just like shitting on the marginalized.
And hell-bent on making it happen as soon as possible. Comedy. I discovered this plot almost by accident while taking a break from all that thinking. I sat in the tree outside my cabin, started reading this book I picked up at a garage sale in town. It was called The Lord of the Rings.
Wait, I'm sorry. There is zero shot that anybody who would have been able to climb this, or anybody who had the tech to get over this wall, is ever being deterred because it's painted black. I cannot believe that this is real. Like, what if they just climb it at night? Is that not legitimate? Or like, what do they put on gloves? Like, what? This just seems fucking retarded. I don't know, bro. $2.5 billion? Seriously? Why can't we, like, hire some illegal immigrants to pay it? Oh, wait, they're deporting them all. Like, what the fuck is happening here? What is going on here? Okay, sorry, back to how my society is collapsing.
And, well, reading it was supposed to be a break from all that thinking about the comedy hell world, but it actually ended up illuminating the pathway to the truth about how comedy got so shit. So, in this story, these ancient elf guys created magic orbs called the Palantiri. These orbs allowed guys to see and communicate across vast distances.
Oh my God.
With other guys who had an orb. The orbs were meant to help gain and share knowledge and make society work better. But you had to be very...
Somebody said, Trump probably touched the presidential limousine when it was hot, and he got the idea from that. Shut the fuck up. Don't joke like that, because there's like a 50-50 chance that that's true.
The orbs were meant to help gain and share knowledge and make society work better. But you had to be very smart and strong-willed to use this technology. And just like in our world, most people are just really stupid. It's just the way it is. These orbs weren't inherently evil. They didn't necessarily lie, but they could show a selectively narrow version of reality. And if you had a double-digit IQ and tried to use one, you'd end up confused, misled, and completely dominated. And that's when I realized the guy who wrote this thing must be some sort of genius, because he perfectly predicted the internet and how it was going to break everybody's brain. And in the book, the bad guy is this guy called the Dark Lord, Well, the Dark Lord got a hold of one of those Palantir orbs, and he used it to dominate and reshape the minds of a bunch of influential guys who happened to have orbs too, like the boss of all the wizards, and this guy Denethor, the ruler of some kingdom castle or whatever. Using the orbs, the Dark Lord led both these guys to fully believe the apocalypse was upon them, and that there was nothing they could do to change it. He figured if these influential guys could be convinced the end times were upon them, there would be a trickle-down effect, where everyone would believe it, feel completely helpless, and just kind of give up, let the Dark Lord take over. The wizard boss guy reacted by joining the Dark Lord in his quest for domination, because if that Dark Lord is bound to win the war, he might as well be on the right side at the end of it. It's a philosophical suey. Poor old Denethor turned to utter despair and decided to just let Sauron get on with it. Let his kingdom be dominated by the Dark Lord before doing a proper full suey himself. Oh,
Wait, is this guy about to bring this up? Someone in chat just mentioned this. Erebor, also known as the Lonely Mountain, is a prominent mountain in Tolkien's Middle-earth, specifically in the northern part of Rhovanion. It is renowned for being the location of the dwarven kingdom of the same name. Apparently, tech billionaires back Erebor in the wake of Silicon Valley Bank collapse. Funded by Anduril co-founder Palmer Luckey and Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, the new bank, named like their companies after Tolkien lore, aims to serve startups in crypto, AI, and defense.
yeah, there was this other king who didn't have a magic orb, so Saruman sent this guy.
Anduril is from Lord of the Rings too. Really?
Wormtongue, nasty guy, to just go whisper in his ear, and it had the same effect. The point is, these guys essentially all got put inside a hyper-real simulacrum by the Dark Lord using that orb technology. The visions presented to them in the orb became their new reality, and because they were so weak and stupid, losers really, they were convinced there was no way forward except to embrace the apocalypse by joining that Dark Lord, or by going full suey. Why the f*** am I talking about this stupid book bullshit? Because the internet is our magic orb. But unlike this book, in our world everybody has one. In the book, the Dark Lord loses the war because the humans got a new king who still lived in classic reality. But imagine if every guy in this Ring story had an orb, and not just a couple of the leader guys. Even this new king wouldn't be able to convince enough people to defend the castle. The Dark Lord would have won for sure. Anyway, it's a good book. Check it out if you know how to read. Because that's kind of exactly what this Doomsday cult we're talking about did. They created and then gifted to us our Palantiri, the internet, social media, podcasts. They used their techno-wizardry to seize control of human behavior and thought, creating their Palantiri to be both completely addictive and to devolve all human interaction into complete negativity. Once that happens, our I gotta get the hell out of here gene activates, and when there's nowhere else to go, the cult offers escape pods into their simulacrum, which really are psychic apocalypse bunkers. The cult's goal is to destroy what they call the cathedral, which encompasses all the elements of our society that influence our thoughts and beliefs about the world. Everything from public education and universities to cultural industries, the media.
Okay, I'm not saying that anybody should do this because this would be really bad and it would probably be terrorism. Okay, so I would never say this. This is purely for thought experiment. But how fascinating would it be if somebody were to kidnap like all of the largest podcast bros and like political commentators and maybe a couple political leaders and like put them in a room with some kind of like lie detector mechanism and just like chat with them all for like 3 or 4 hours and just ask them honest questions. Like, do you really believe this shit? Or like, what is the end goal here? Or like for Joe Rogan, like, how do you end up believing the guy more? Is it Stephen Graham who tells you that the lost civilization of whatever the Atlantis is off the coast of everywhere, just hasn't been explained? How do you believe that guy more than the actual archaeologist guy who can give you 50 million? Like, do you guys actually believe it? I would pay so much money to just to be able to watch that conversation play out and just to hear some unfiltered, uncensored thoughts. Like, you know what podcasting was supposed to be? Oh, Graham Hancock. I would call him Stephen Graham. I don't know why. Graham Hancock, yeah.
And of course, the new mainstream media like podcasts. Once all these institutions are destroyed, the cult can assume control of all of them. And then they can dictate public opinion and the direction our society should go. which for them is an authoritarian monarchy run by an autocratic CEO king. They call this the Dark Enlightenment. People have been talking about this already, but for some reason nobody has ever pointed out that comedy is also part of the cathedral. Because comedy is a tool that can cut through the illusion of hyperreality, one that can topple the pillars that uphold a simulacrum. They must destroy it. They've been doing this for as long as comedy has been a thing. And the cult identified their perfect target to infiltrate both the comedy and podcast world, the most gullible man in mainstream media. It was so easy. They just led Joe down the path into the simulacrum with money and value.
Graham Stephan is the guy from the podcast, the Iced Coffee Hour podcast. Sorry, fuck. I'm not trying to besmirch him as the crazy Atlantis guy.
Validation, and now he's their mainstream media puppet. And comedy is fucking crumbling, taken over by the cult. You think this is crazy? Who are the guys at the top of this cult? It's J.D. Vance.
We're letting a grown man walk around in a miniskirt in broad daylight?
It's the techno-wizard billionaires. It's Elon, Mark Andreessen.
Sure, these things are being censored.
It's fucking Peter Thiel.
Talk about what's gone wrong in the U.S. because
they're all friends of the show. Weird, eh?
Everything's so much worse, you know?
Hello? They use comedy and podcasting as a fun Trojan horse to sneak themselves into the culture. And Joe and all his enablers let it all happen. Just sold out the entire comedy world. All while he preaches about the importance of comedy and how much it means to him.
It was a religious calling.
It's all a ruse, a great big scheme, a spectacle, comedy kayfabe.
250 comics.
In the cult's hyper-reality, he's the head of comedy. But in classic reality, he's the gangrenous toe of the comedy world, slowly spreading its vile infection throughout the rest of its body. It's messed up, man, but that's how comedy got so shit. I mean, I think we all knew it was Joe Rogan's fault, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think most people realize he's just one part of an intricate and pervasive takeover of the entire country. And if you're a comedy cultist and you want to write this off as a conspiracy theory, you should remember the teachings of Dear Leader.
When you do have an open mind and you are compelled to try to seek the truth, you got to be aware that these things have happened in history. They are real. As much as people who look for conspiracies and everything, there are also people who try to dismiss everything. And you have to be very careful because there are a lot of things that people do conspire to do.
Joe's legacy will forever be the guy who destroyed comedy. Probably the entire U.S., honestly. All the crazy shit the government is doing, Joe did that. Because in the president's own words, Joe won him the election.
He basically said, I won him the election.
And he sold out comedy to make it happen. And it should never be forgiven.
I thought you boys understood. It's business. That's all it is. There ain't no countries anymore. No more good guys. They're running the whole show. They own everything, the whole goddamn planet. They can do whatever they want. Now they're gonna let us have it good if we just help them. They're gonna leave us alone. Let's make some money. You can have a little taste of that good life too. Now I know you want it. Hell, everybody does. Do it to your own kind. We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
How does this all end? Well, how do most cults end? Usually in some kind of terrible tragedy. Waco, Heaven's Gate, Jonestown. Who knows if those simulacrum pillars will hold? They're shaky right now because nobody wants to uphold the Jeffrey Epstein pedo pillar. But it kind of has to be upheld. It's a load-bearing pillar.
Oof. I wonder how long ago he finished the editing and script on this video.
And it looks like they're expecting the Comedy Czar to fall in line and get rid of the controversy.
On Trump's desperate attempt to quell political blowback, the White House reportedly, quote, asking podcaster Joe Rogan to help ease the uproar over the Epstein files.
What's he gonna do?
I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna push back? Right. No, of course.
No, of course
not. No, of course not. Definitely not.
Is the Comedy Czar gonna become Comedy Prigozhin?
Pushback. That's just for the wokies.
Build out
and for people who are against legalization of weed.
Personal militia, become a mercenary force attached to the U.S. military, maybe go for the coup. Or maybe he becomes Comedy Colonel Kurtz, holed up in his bunker, completely disillusioned by civilization. A cult leader with an insatiable lust for power, descending into madness, waiting for the apocalypse.
See ya, boys.
Well, whatever happens, I think Joe should move the Mothership Wall of Fame a few more feet, right into the bathroom there. If he and his followers are just gonna piss and shit on these guys' so-called legacies. And as for the rest of us, I guess, well, try to identify if you're in a simulacrum and get the hell out of there. Go outside and anchor yourself in classic reality. Stick your feet in the mud, observe the bark patterns of trees. Feel the warmth of the summer sun on your face. Do some can gazing. The more anchored you are in classic reality, the less easily you'll be sucked up into any of these embarrassing
Close to making it, guys.
Good luck with that. For me, I'm anchoring with a dip-a-day program right now, which means every day I'm jumping in that fucking lake. Swimming around, doing about 50 laps to the rock and back. That's no big deal for me. And then back to shore, cracking open a cold one, and lying in the sun as the water evaporates off my skin, rises back up into the clouds, where it'll become rain and fall once again to the earth. Cycles. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, good. Gotta go. Bye.
I'll give it a meh out of 10. Jesus. I can't believe you put his fucking thing here. Maybe Trevor's right. Look at this chart. Tariff revenue. Holy shit. $100 billion of additional taxes. Feels amazing, man. You're assuming no U.S. producer will step in to produce import equivalents at more affordable prices, reducing U.S. consumer prices. I don't understand. I shouldn't even gauge because it could be a bot. Like, if they could do that, wouldn't they already be doing that? Look at the numbers on the y-axis. Yes, it's month by month, retards. So my guess is it's in July they say they made 30 billion. In June they made 27 billion. In May they made whatever. That's